The reason that we put today on was because, people are clearly nervous at the moment around work. And I think it's always good to get a perspective, experienced freelancer like Lizzie, in terms of planning your next kind of phase of new business and attracting clients. And that's really what we built the topic around today. Let me tell you a little bit about Lizzie. Lizzie's a freelance writer and strategist, and she specializes primarily in brands in the e-commerce and marketing sectors. And I know they're by and large SaaS brands, and Lizzie can talk about that in a second. She set up her business in 2014, and she was a full-time worker at that point, tired of the 9-to-5 grind, as she says. She quit her permanent job and set up her own business. And after almost a decade working as a freelancer and specializing in the area that she does, she's also made it her mission to help other freelancers learn from, I suppose, the good and not so good sides of working as a freelancer. And she's literally helped hundreds of freelancers grow their business. She has a brilliant site called Freelance Magic. I'll stick the link in the chat box in a few minutes. And she also provides a lot of really good actionable content and e-courses and online workshops designed to help freelancers. She has a great podcast, and I think she started this back in January, and both myself and Una have been listening to it. Sufficiently short to, capture, maybe the walk with your dog or whoever during the day, but really practical advice on, working as a freelancer. Things like landing clients, increasing revenue, what it takes to build a sustainable freelance career. And we also love the fact that she's very much open, honest, transparent with her own experience as a freelancer. I mean, for instance, every month, I think it is, Lizzie, she publishes her actual expenses and her revenue as a freelancer, just, I suppose, giving people a sense of the types of costs that a freelancer like yourself incurs, but also then the revenue that goes with that. Lizzie, have I said enough? I want to welcome you on behalf of myself and Una and Amanda here today. We're delighted to have you on board. Lizzie, by the way, is based in Brighton.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. No, that was more than enough. What an intro. Thank you.
Okay, I can act as your PR agent.
Yeah, can I get that in writing?
How's the weather in Brighton today?
It is glorious. Well, I say glorious, but it looks nice outside. But when I go out there, it's just horrendously muggy. So I don't deal well in the heat, but it's nice to look at.
Very good. Very good. Lizzie, I'm going to hand over to you. I've done enough talking and I'll come back in. There will be questions along the way. And please, people, if you have anything to ask Lizzie, drop it into the chat box. There will be definitely time to open up the mics later on. And I'm sure Lizzie will welcome that. Lizzie, do you want to take questions along the way or prefer them at the end?
I reckon if we stick to the end and then because I guess the slides might answer some of the questions that people have as we go through. So
great stuff.
The end will be best.
Okay, there will be people joining along the way, so you might hear the doorbell ringing, but
perfect.
Come in as they come. Yeah,
I love that it's a doorbell noise.
Okay, all right. Over to you.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, I mean, Peter's done an excellent intro for me there. Just to kind of go into a bit more detail about that for the people who don't know me. I'm a content strategist and content writer for e-commerce tech, SaaS, as Peter said, which is software as a service. So companies that provide monthly subscriptions to brands mostly, so in the B2B industry. And I write for brands like Shopify, CoSchedule and Hotjar. This is my 10th year of freelancing, so I've been doing it a while. I didn't start out in the B2B kind of sector. I actually started out as a travel writer. I originally worked in travel marketing. I was a marketing assistant for a travel tour operator, and I kind of happened upon freelance life by mistake. It wasn't really by mistake, but it was never my plan. My ex-boyfriend at the time, he was an English teacher. He taught English as a foreign language, and he got a contract in Spain. So he was going to move out there and asked if I wanted to go with him. And being a young, impressionable 23-year-old with no responsibilities, I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. The contract was for 9 months. So we decided that if the freelancing didn't work out, I could get a full-time job when I came back in 9 months. As you can see, I didn't have to get a full-time job. It paid off, but my career now looks very, very different to how it did at the start. And obviously, there's been a ton of up and downs along the way, like COVID, pandemic, and now we're kind of facing the cost of living crisis and economic downturn, which is kind of putting a lot of freelancers getting a lot of freelancers a bit worried because it all feels a bit uncertain at the moment. And I've spoken to a lot of freelancers recently who have been doing this for a really long time, who are struggling to find clients, who are kind of not getting the same uptake in leads and kind of queries and quotes as they used to. I've noticed it myself. A couple of my long-term clients have kind of pared back our contracts. So I think it was maybe February, March this year, I was kind of a bit like, is this gonna pan out okay? And before this, Peter and I were discussing how kind of seasoned freelancers know that there are shifts like this that come every couple of years. So I know that it's kind of a case of riding out the waves, but when you're kind of you've got bills to pay, costs are going up, you kind of want to have a little bit of stability. So I'm hoping that this short kind of workshop-y thing today is going to give some practical things that you can put into place today, tomorrow, this week, or whenever, or in the future when you want to get another client. And it's going to be a mix of kind of things that you can do right now and things that you can do on the back burner to keep things ticking over. And like Peter said, I also have Freelance Magic, which is a site for freelancers. I kind of write blog posts, guides, workshops, there's courses for freelancers. And that was born from all of the questions that I got from freelancers when I was starting out. My inbox was always full of people who were kind of like, wow, how do you get to do what you're doing? So I kind of compiled everything into that site. And it's my mission to kind of be as transparent as possible about freelancing. So I'm not just sharing kind of the good bits, but also the bad bits. And like Peter said, I share my revenue and expenses every month on Instagram and every week in my newsletter. So without further ado, I'm hoping that the slideshow is going to work okay. It does. Excellent. This is what I'm going to be talking about today. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about assessing what works and what doesn't. I think it's really important to have a good understanding of what works for your business and what doesn't. I'm guilty of kind of just powering on through with things and not really taking the time to reflect. But I think especially now when things are so uncertain, it's really important that we are very, very clear and have clarity on what helps our business and what doesn't, because that can help speed things up and make sure you're focusing on the right things at the right time. I'm then going to be talking about passive and active ways of marketing your business. So the active ways are things that you can do right now. Passive is kind of the things that you can be doing on the back burner that are just ticking away in the background that aren't necessarily going to get you clients right now, but they might in a couple of months or a couple of weeks or whenever. I'm then going to be talking about a minimum viable service. So how you can get new clients to say yes with as small a commitment as possible. And then finally, I'm going to be going over some quick activities you can do now to secure your next client or project. And that's going to be kind of super actionable stuff. I've got some templates you can use as well. So hopefully that will be useful if there are any of you who want to get a client this week, maybe. But first things first, let's talk about assessing what works in your business. I try and do this I try and do it every quarter, but in reality, it's probably every 6 months or so, where I take stock of how I'm getting most of my clients, how they're finding me, what channels they're discovering me through, what's making them reach out to me. So first of all, take stock of your most popular acquisition method. And that's just simply how the majority of your existing and past clients find you. I find it helpful to create a spreadsheet or just a document of something where you list down all of the clients that you have, maybe the clients that you've had over the past 6 months or the past year, and then note down the ways that they found you or that they came in contact with you. My old invoicing tool used to do this, weirdly enough, so it's nice to see it in a chart as well. It doesn't anymore, so I have to do it manually, but I find it really useful because often you think the method you think is working best actually isn't, or it changes over time. So this time last year, the number one way that I was getting clients was through my website. They were finding me on Google and contacting me via the contact form on my website. But this year, I've had very, very few inquiries that way, even though I'm still ranking kind of on the first page for SAAS writer. I'm getting most of my leads through referrals this year. So it's interesting that there's been a shift in that. And also don't give in to shiny object syndrome. I'm also very, very guilty of this because it feels like there are so many new marketing methods, so many new kind of trends popping up every day. And it's really tempting to kind of jump on the bandwagon, especially if you see other freelancers succeeding with them. But it really takes time to see if a certain method works for you. I always say, try and give it 2 to 3 months to see if it's working. And if it's not, swap it out for something else. It should really be kind of like an experiment in the early stages and be curious about what works and what doesn't. Of course, you can try the shiny new things, but have them experiment with them when you found a secure and comfortable way to find clients as well. And as always, no two freelancers are the same. There is no kind of cut and dry method for getting clients. There is no blueprint, unfortunately. I wish there was, but there is not. So what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. This is why I say that you should assess what works for you and your business, because your data, your own data, is the most powerful thing that you have, because it's a unique insight into your business, your clients, your industry. And what works best will ultimately depend on who you're targeting, what type of service you're offering, and what you do. So here are just some actionable things that you can take away from that section. So like I said, make a note of where you got your last 5 clients from. These are the most recent clients, so they'll provide the most up-to-date relevant data and information. If I had a spreadsheet now of all of the clients that I've ever acquired over the years, through my website would be the most popular option, but obviously that's not the case this year. So by pairing that back to the last 5 clients or the last 7, 10 clients that you've got will give you a more current trend to go off. And also you can add a where did you find me field to your intake form and your onboarding, offboarding surveys. I have an onboarding template that I send out to new clients, and within that I ask them where they found me, how they found out about me, and what it was that made them decide to go with me over another freelancer. So that can be really useful for finding out information as well, because the client might have come to you through LinkedIn, but they may have been another way that they heard about you in the first place, maybe a referral or Google, and it's kind of been a longer process for them. Okay, so now we're going to talk about passive and active marketing. I always recommend having a couple of different marketing methods for getting clients. It's simply the case of not wanting to put all of your eggs in one basket. And I think that that's been quite apparent this year, where everything's a bit up in the air and maybe some platforms have gone down. I know there was kind of a worry earlier in the year that Twitter was going to go under, and I know a few freelancers who relied on that to get clients. So it's always good to have kind of a few different tactics in your arsenal. So that you're not sitting around twiddling your thumbs waiting for clients to come to you, so that you can keep your pipeline full and keep your prospects warm, and so that you never have to start again from scratch. I know that it's kind of really disheartening when a contract ends and then you're back to square one and you have to go out there and find a client, and it can take a week or 2 to get another client. So combining these 2 types of marketing strategies can keep your pipeline full and kind of make sure that there's no gaps in contracts. I'm going to go into a bit more detail about these, but first of all, like I said, I recommend creating a mix of these, and I'm going to go through a few examples of passive strategies and active marketing strategies. It's important, again, to choose ones that you feel comfortable with. I know as freelancers, or for me personally at least, marketing can feel a bit icky. Like, I'm a writer, I don't like marketing myself. I'm not salesy at all. So it can feel a bit awkward and a bit clunky. So choosing strategies that work for you can be really helpful if you feel like you don't want to do it because it makes you feel ick. And also I recommend scheduling time for both types of marketing and then adjusting your effort towards each of them depending on your current schedule and commitments. So for example, if your schedule is fully booked for the next month, maybe don't apply to call outs for freelancers that need a start date next week. Instead, focus on passive methods, which I'm going to go through, like generating leads, blog posts, and networking. And this is why I say have a healthy mix of both, so that when your schedule is full, you can then lean more into passive marketing. And then when your schedule is kind of a little bit more sparse, you can pick up on those active methods. So I'm going to quickly cover passive marketing because I'm going to mostly focus on active marketing methods today, purely because they get clients quicker. But passive marketing is essentially tactics that tick away in the background while you do the work. They don't necessarily lead to you sign contracts, but they do increase brand awareness for you and they get your name out there. So we're talking about things like lead generation funnels, where you have a sign-up form on your website. Maybe you offer a freebie in return. On my website, I offer it's like a content ideas download that people can get in exchange for their email address. And then I send regular emails to keep those prospects warm. So maybe they're not necessarily looking for a freelancer now, but when they are, they have me front of mind. Building your personal brand. So that's usually social media related, posting on LinkedIn, posting on Twitter, posting on Instagram, whatever your preferred platform of choice is. Then blogging and SEO, so creating blog posts on your site and kind of ranking for keywords that clients might be using to find you. And paid ad campaigns also includes things like networking, so getting involved in Slack channels that are relevant to your industry, or networking with other freelancers who are likely to refer you later down the line. And then active marketing strategies. So these are tactics that are sales focused and that get you clients quickly. They're things that you can do now and it could get you a client today, tomorrow, next week. They don't require you to show up on social media every day. They don't require you to spend ages writing blog posts and doing keyword research. They're kind of really quick ways that you can find clients. So it's things like pitching, things like applying to job boards, responding to call outs, submitting applications. I'm going to go into a bit more detail about all of these, which is why I've just brushed over them then. But these are the ones I want to focus on today. So pitching. I know a lot of freelancers have certain feelings about pitching. I wrote an entire newsletter on this last week, which was comparing building a personal brand to pitching, because I know that there are freelancers who are staunchly on the build a personal brand side and freelancers who are staunchly on the pitching side. I don't think there needs to be two separate sides to this. For me, pitching has worked really, really well. I found the majority of my clients when I was starting out from pitching, and I still use pitching today to fill up gaps in my roster or to pitch clients that I really want to work with. So I am an advocate of pitching, but I think that it does have a bad name for itself, which is why I always promote the idea of warm pitching rather than cold pitching. It also feels a lot nicer for the freelancer as well to not be kind of putting themselves out there to total strangers. So these are the steps. These are the kind of simple basic steps that you can do to pitch clients today. First of all, create a list of prospects. So you can find them through LinkedIn, through a Google search, Twitter searches. You can simply search for marketing managers or something and then LinkedIn will literally show you marketing managers at certain brands. You can put the industry or your niche in the search and it will come up with companies in that, and then add them to a master list of prospects to pitch to. I just use a simple spreadsheet, a Google sheet to do this, but I know that there are some freelancers who have really cool kind of interactive pitching templates that they use. So whatever way you work best, do that. And then when writing your pitch, really, really important to personalize each pitch you send and to find the right person to send it to. So you can use a tool like Hunter.io, which it's not always right, but it kind of tries to accurately guess the email address of somebody working at a company. Or you can find the relevant contact on LinkedIn. So if you find a company that you would like to pitch, you can simply type marketing manager and then the name of the company into LinkedIn and it should show you who that person is, or you can do that on Google and it should come up. And then send the pitch and follow up. It's really important to follow up. I can't stress that. The amount of times that I have landed clients through the second or third follow-up rather than the first pitch is crazy. And I know that it's tempting to think that if somebody doesn't reply the first time that they're not interested. But now that I've been on the other side of that, I know that content marketing managers are busy. They miss emails. And so a gentle follow-up, just a really short one, can get you back on their radar. The second active marketing method you can do is apply to job boards. I think the main crux of this is finding relevant job boards. And I know that in the first couple of years of when I was freelancing, I did use job boards quite a lot. I don't know how good some of the ones I used to use are now, but I know that there are some good niche industry ones there. So the Superpath one does a lot of tech and SaaS brands advertise job posts there. Contra and Peak Freelance, that's also quite B2B heavy as well. But if you just Google your specialism or your niche and freelance job boards or job boards, then you should be able to find one that's relevant to you and your industry. And then the important thing to remember with applying to job boards is that you'll be competing with a lot of other freelancers. So it's not like pitching where you might be maybe one or two people who are pitching the brand that week. You're going to be up against a lot of other freelancers who have seen this job ad and who are going to be applying for it as well. So it's important to highlight why the client should pick you, mention any results or high profile brands you've worked with, and personalize your application as well. Some of the most receptive applications I've sent to job boards have just been where I've just emailed someone as if I was emailing a friend, telling them about what I do, what I've done, sending them a link to my website, and that seems to have done the job. But always include a link to a sample or something that you've done. I always advise people to not link directly to their full portfolio. It can be really tempting to just kind of send a prospect everything you've ever done to show them what you can do and the sheer scale of what you've done. But again, from being on the other side of this, it takes a lot of time to sift through people's portfolios and find pieces that are relevant. So I'd recommend cherry picking one or two relevant samples and linking directly to them in the application. So that the prospect, it's as easy as possible for the prospect. They don't have to click through to a portfolio and find relevant pieces. And linking directly to them means they get taken straight there. Then they know what you want them to see. Thirdly, responding to call outs. So this is slightly different to the job boards, because when I say call outs, I mean people who are posting on social media about looking for freelancers for certain things. I see a lot of people on Twitter and LinkedIn who are asking their network if they know any freelancers that they should work with. So first of all, follow hashtags that are relevant to your industry, that are relevant to the kind of jobs that you do. For example, freelance writers can try hashtag writer jobs and hashtag freelance jobs on Twitter. They often have some good job postings on there. You can search for keywords as well. So on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. I think LinkedIn is slightly better for this. You can search for writing opportunities or any words that somebody might use in a post where they're looking for freelancers. Even the keywords looking for freelancers would probably work. And then thirdly, build a list of relevant folks who regularly share freelance opportunities. There are a ton of people out there who kind of are on a mission to compile job ads and opportunities each week. So you can create a Twitter list of those people, or you can kind of set alerts for those people when they send out their newsletter or when they promote a job opportunity on the platform that they share on. I think there are some aggregators out there as well. I'm not entirely sure which ones are kind of hot at the moment, but it could be worth looking into that as well. And then finally, submit applications. So again, this is slightly different to the job boards because you're basically looking for freelance jobs. I find that job boards are usually looking for someone to work on a specific project, whereas on job sites like Indeed or LinkedIn Jobs, the clients are looking for kind of ongoing freelancer roles to do like multiple different tasks for them. So first of all, you can find jobs on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is actually a really good resource for this. Has a ton of freelance opportunities in its job search. You just have to type your keyword into the search bar and then add freelance as kind of like an add-on extra. And you can see all of the opportunities there. You can also look for places that are promoting full-time roles. So you can reach out to companies that have maybe advertised for a full-time copywriter or a full-time blog writer, full-time case study writer, whatever it is that you do, and reach out to them to see if they might need help in the interim, because obviously it takes a long time to onboard a new full-time employee. So they might need somebody there to fill in the gaps or be on hand maybe when the new team member is away on holiday or has other commitments and needs a helping hand. So that can be a really good time to reach out to brands and kind of just show that you're there and that you can be on hand to help. And you can also set up Google alerts as well, or job search alerts. I think Indeed does alerts where you can get like an email thread each day of relevant jobs. And that can make sure that you're getting kind of the most up-to-date job ads that are out there. And then offering a minimal viable service. So when I say minimum viable service, I mean a service that is not your full offering, but is something related to your full offering. So it could be the first step in the process of your full offering. It could be something that needs to happen before your full offering can take place. Anything that it's short and it's quick, but it offers value. So the reasoning behind this is because it makes it easy for prospects to say yes to you. It's really, really difficult to get somebody to say yes to a 6-month contract. And I know that a lot of freelancers kind of pitch clients and go into it wanting like a long-term contract immediately because we want stability, we want security. But it's really, really difficult, especially if a client doesn't know who you are or hasn't seen any of your work before. They don't know whether it's going to be a good fit. They're probably not going to commit to a long-term contract. So the purpose of a minimum viable service is so that you can show them that you can do what you say you can, and that they can say yes to something that's small, which is more likely for them to say yes to something bigger later down the line. And also it creates a stepping stone. So you can from both sides see how you work together, because also as freelancers, we're vetting the client as well. When sometimes if you sign a contract without having done any kind of work with the client before, you then find out that they're an absolute pain in the ass and you can't get out of it for at least a month if that's what's written into your contract. So this can be a really good stepping stone to find out how you work together. And also another little bonus that is that it can help you learn more about prospects and their needs. So working with them on a small paid project can give you quick insights into potential pain points, potential problems they have, which means that you'll be better equipped to work with them on larger projects and your bigger service offering when it comes to that. I offer a blog audit before content creation happens. I also offer keyword research, which I do with a lot of clients who don't want to work on my full content strategy. So I will kind of do a quick keyword research project and create a content calendar from that. And then if we agree that that's good and that they want to go ahead with the content that I've come up with, then we'll enter into an ongoing agreement where it's like X number of pieces per month. So also the minimum viable service there means that I'm basically giving myself extra work afterwards because I've created these content ideas. So surely it makes sense that I write these content ideas. So that's how it works in action. So some practical tips for this section. Consider a small task or activity that's relevant to your main offering that will work as a kind of in for new clients, or that's something that's easy for them to say yes to, like a blog audit or keyword research, or even a test piece. I know a lot of freelancers offer paid test pieces, which can be a good way to kind of see from both sides if you're going to work well together and get clients to say yes. And then you can promote your minimum viable service in your pitches, or you can even offer it to existing clients as an upsell to the work you're already doing for them. Maybe you can add it as an extra to new clients, so they have to go through that process before they can work with you. It can just be a nice little addition and a little value add to what you're offering. So now, quick activities you can do immediately to get clients. And like I said at the beginning, like it's really tricky times at the moment. Everything feels a bit uncertain. So maybe you just need to get some money coming in before you can start playing around with the passive and active marketing strategies. So even the active marketing strategies can take a little while to pay off. So the purpose of these activities that I'm going to talk about now, they basically take seconds. and they can lead to more work overnight. So if I was really needing work right now, I would do these activities, and then I would move on to active marketing strategies. And then once I'd kind of got my client roster up to a level that I felt comfortable with, I would then start experimenting with passive marketing strategies. So first of all, you can reach out to existing clients. I know this isn't necessarily getting a new client, but it's getting new work from a client. I've personally had a handful of clients who've wanted, when we first engaged, when they first contacted me, wanted more work from me, but my capacity and my current schedule wouldn't allow for it. I was too busy. So we ended up kind of paring that back and scheduling however many pieces I could fit in. But now if I lose a client, I know that I could probably go back to those clients that we paired back the original contract for and say, hey, my schedule's opened up. Would you like us to go back to our original agreement? Or if that's not the case, you can still reach out to them and say, do you need any extra work at this time? And I think it's really important here to tell existing clients what you can do, the services that you offer, because I have a lot of clients that I've worked with for 2, maybe 3 years and I do long form blog posts for them. And they have no idea that I can do case studies or landing pages or email sequences. So they'll email me and they're like, don't know if you do this or if you could recommend somebody who does this. So if you're reaching out to existing clients, definitely let them know what other services you can do. That's not just the one that you're kind of used to doing for them, because they simply might not know. And this is the template that I use when I'm reaching out to existing clients. I just say, hope you're good. I'm reaching out to let you know I have more availability coming up whenever, and wanted to give you first dibs. Let me know if you'd like to increase our output and I'll get it scheduled in. And then underneath that would be a good time to say, I also offer X, Y, Z if you're interested. Really simple. This has actually been quite effective for me this year. I think in February and March, when things started to look like they were going to drop a bit, I sent some emails out to some clients that I've been working with for a while and picked up some work overnight from them. So it can be a really useful way to kind of get some more projects in your diary ASAP. You can also reach out to past clients. I often go back through it's not really my little black book of clients, but my contacts list of clients that I've worked with in the past. Sometimes I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I forgot about them. And it just fizzled out at the time, but maybe they're doing great things now and might need a helping hand. So I go back through and kind of make a list of prospects or past clients that I enjoyed working with and that might need my help again. And I will just simply ask if they have any content needs coming up. And then again, this is the template that I send to them. So I just say, do you need an extra pair of hands in the next couple of months? I enjoyed working on this project with you, would love the opportunity to work together again. And actually, this has also led to some extra work this year with clients that I haven't worked with in a few years. And at the moment, I'm working with 2 clients that I was originally engaged with probably about 3 years ago now. It might even have been before the pandemic, and we're now working together again just because of this simple email I sent. And I find this actually a useful activity to go back through my past client list every kind of few months, just because I often forget about people I've worked with, and it's a good opportunity to understand why those contracts ended or if there was a reason, and stuff like that. So again, assessing your business. You can also ask for a referral. So if neither your existing client base or your past clients has any upcoming work for you, you can extend your offer to their network as well. So you can ask them if they know anyone who might need help with their content, and if they do, ask them to consider you. I never do this kind of overtly. I never say, please, can you refer me to X brand if I know that they're connected. But that could be worth a try. If you've seen on LinkedIn that your contact at a company is connected to a contact at a company that you would like to work with, you can try the kind of direct approach. But I usually go for something like this, which is just like, I've got a couple of spots available in my calendar and would love it if you could pass my details on to anyone you think would be a good fit or could benefit from X, Y, and Z. Sometimes clients just need a nudge as well. The couple of times that I've sent this email to clients, I've had a really positive response. And I think it works in their favor as well, because they get to recommend a freelancer who they've loved working with, and they get to look good to the person that they recommend them to. So yeah, I think sometimes clients just need a nudge to do this. So just sending a simple email like that works. And then finally, announce it. No one is going to know you're open for work if you don't tell them. And this is such a simple thing to do, but it can really make a big difference. I recently posted something on LinkedIn about my content strategy services. They basically just sit on my website, and they don't rank particularly well on Google. So I don't even know. I mean, they barely get any page views. But when I posted that on LinkedIn, I got 2 inquiries straight away just by saying, look, if you want these services, I offer them. Email me and we can talk about it. I've seen a lot of freelancers doing this recently, particularly with all the current layoffs and the uncertainty. They've been posting on LinkedIn looking for work, being vulnerable, openly looking for work, and it's paid off really, really well for them. So as a last resort, announce it. Let everybody in your network know that you're looking for work, that you've got slots in your schedule. And yeah, see what happens. And I think that was all of the slides I had. Hopefully that wasn't too overwhelming, but there was lots of good information there that you can use. These are all the places where you can connect with me. Would love to connect with any and all of you and see how you get on.